Picture getting sick and potentially dying in your home alone without any friends or family around you. This is Yasmina's biggest fear that haunts her on a daily basis during the COVID-19 pandemic. A trans woman of color, Yasmina immigrated to the US in the late 90s and lived in Washington, D.C. for over 20 years. Us, trans women of color, are at the bottom of the food chain, Yasmina stated when recounting the tragic story of a woman who lost her life in an ambulance because the EMT were reluctant to resuscitate her after discovering her trans identity. Sadly, trans women of color live at the deadly intersection of transphobia, sexism, and racism. So why must we urban planners concern ourselves with this marginalized group? Because our towns and cities shape the way we experience our worlds. And as planners, it is our ethical and civic duty to protect, promote, and serve the safety and welfare of the general public. Planning the just city is a theoretical idea that became popular over the last 20 years. Its main goal is to design future cities that are more inclusive, equitable, and democratic. Yet 15 transgender people were brutally murdered between January and June of this year alone. Planners believe that social justice is also a question of spatial justice. I expand on this idea in my research by exploring the geographies of trans women of color in the Washington, D.C. area, because I truly believe that urban justice is attainable only when we directly address the violences of gender, racial, and sexual difference. Through storytelling, map-making, and photo documentation, I document and analyze the spaces of daily struggle in order to better understand how lived experiences shape and are shaped by the built environment. My research has three key objectives. One, by using an ethnographic approach that combines storytelling with mental mapping, it seeks to promote safer cities. Two, it challenges the top-down approach idea of cities as the product of policymakers and urban planners by reimagining the spaces of the city as the collective effort of all of its inhabitants. And three, I call upon all planners to advocate for a more inclusive public and to self-reflect by asking the critical question: are we engineering societies, are we planning societies, or are we planning for a diverse society? My hope is that we can all agree on the latter. Trans lives matter, trans spaces matter, and as Yasmina's story clearly indicates, much work remains done toward trans spatial justice.